the foundation is gone to the dollar. There's nothing backing the dollar, so certain events could happen next week. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to happen for a year or two. One of the reasons I don't think it's going to happen real soon is that they measure the dollar in terms of other currencies, and they don't measure them. Right now they're not measuring it in purchasing power, and that is the consumer prices aren't going up as fast as they're likely to go up. But the other currencies are very weak. Just think of the problems they're having in Greece and the other European countries. They're further socialized than we are. They have bigger debt than we have. So therefore, it makes our dollar look relatively strong. And we've had the advantage of being the issuers of the currency of the world. So that means it will last longer than it deserves to last, and it could last for several more years. I don't think that diminishes my prediction at all that it will eventually have to end, but I don't think it's going to end in 12 months. I think it'll be longer than that.
No, thank you for your perspective on that. Now, you introduced a bill in Congress to audit the Federal Reserve. I'm wondering if you could update our listeners as to the status of that bill.
Yes, we did that early in last year, and we ended up with 317 co-sponsors. When an opportunity presented itself in the Financial Services Committee, introduced that and was put on the regulation bill that was passed out of the committee, then out of the House. So it's attached to a bill that I actually don't support the bill because it has a lot of very unreasonable regulations on it. But the bill actually got passed in the House. The Senate hasn't acted on it. It's more difficult in the Senate. But if the Senate passed a regulatory bill and it's not in there, then when it goes to conference, they would have to decide whether they'll keep it or not. The powerful forces in the administration and the banking community and Wall Street are very much opposed to this. The average person is very much in favor of it because they realize the system we have serves the interests of the very wealthy special interests. So we've made a lot of progress. It has served a great function, but I think it's going to be a little while before it actually happens because I anticipate even if we pass it and for some reason the president would sign it, there'll be lawsuits. The Federal Reserve will file lawsuits and it'll go to the courts, and the courts aren't favorable towards selling money. They always rule in favor of central banking. But the most important thing is it's helped get the attention of the American people on how the Federal Reserve operates.
Well, thank you for your help in doing that and promoting that bill. One of the challenges we have with the current economy is ridiculously low interest rates, and it seems that serves as a powerful motivator to encourage spending as opposed to saving, and continue to cause the bulk of the population to go into further debt. And I wonder if you can comment on that. It seems long-term is just another prescription for disaster.
Well, the low interest rates do that. They cause a lot of people to spend and also invest. And early on in the formation of the financial bubble, business people do a lot of investing, and they overinvest. They do malinvestment, and they go into excesses. Of course, that's part of the bubble. And that has stopped. The market is trying to reverse that. The government wants to keep the inflation going, so they keep inflating the currency and keeping interest rates at nearly 0%. But then there comes a time when the market doesn't respond to it, so the market's not responding to these very low interest rates. Now, consumers aren't responding as well either because they're starting to save more. Even though interest rates are low for the banks, they know there's a lot of risk, and they're not anxious to make loans. If you buy a house now, it's a little more difficult than it was, and actually that is good, that they don't get 110% of equity into a house and no down payments and that sort of thing. But the very low interest rates now has done a little bit to alleviate the conditions, but it really hasn't stimulated true investment by businesses. It hasn't really gotten the consumer back to, borrowing and going further into debt. Matter of fact, the consumer right now is paying down a little bit of the debt, and that's in the marketplace. If we were having a market correction, that's what would happen. The people would draw back, quit spending, work harder, pay their debt off, and start, saving money until the market got stable again. But everything the government is doing, they want people to spend money and borrow money and keep building houses, even though there are too many houses. But right now we're in this transition, and I think it'll be a while before they restore confidence in the economy. Everybody's building houses again, and everybody's spending money and having a booming economy. I think that'll be a while yet.
I'd like to turn the conversation to the health care bill. It looked like it was gaining momentum. It actually passed the Senate and the Congress, and then Senator Kennedy died. And for our listeners who may not be aware of this, he was replaced by Senator Brown, and Senator Brown has actually opposed the bill. And this is really quite shocking because Massachusetts has been a traditionally incredibly Democratic state and hadn't had a Republican representative for quite some time. And I'm wondering if you could give us your view as to what this means for the future of this bill and health and how that might impact it.
I think it's more or less put a stop on the bill as it was written. If they pass something, they're going to have to change it a whole lot. They're not talking as much about it in Congress anymore. The House has passed their version, but the Senate hasn't. So I think they have to, move back on this and probably pass a much smaller bill. But I think the Democrats are anxious to pass something to say that they did something. I don't think it'll be to anybody's advantage for what they did or what they plan to do. But the very, very big medical reform package that Obama wanted, that's not going to get passed.
Now, it was interesting, in the last week or two, there has been, President Obama received quite a bit of criticism for appearing to renege on some of his campaign promises with respect to the health care bill and it being an open and discussion, and that there would be a widely embraced and open debate and presented on C-SPAN, and he said that multiple times, and that debate never seemed to have occurred. And I'm wondering if you think the future, as this health care bill goes into a revision, and this exposure that he's received seems to go back on his campaign promises, that might change, and they may have a more open discussion this time.
Yeah, I think he has gone back, but I think it's getting to be known in the general public that has happened. We have a bill on the House floor to insist that it be done in the open discussion, and Democrats won't bring it up. So there's what we call a discharge petition. If you get 215 members of Congress, 215 members, if they sign it, if you get the majority, they have to bring it to the floor. So right now we're doing that, but we'd have to get a bunch of Democrats to do it, and maybe we'll get more now because some of the conservative Democrats are getting a little bit worried. But no, I think he did renege on his promises. But I think that politics are still very powerful. If the American people become aware of this and start complaining, something like what happened in Massachusetts could happen, and he will be forced to do it in the open.